Today we're going to talk about mindfulness for when you need to go to sleep. And mindfulness can actually help us go to sleep. And this kind of our mindfulness for emotion series. I know that like going to sleep is not really an emotion, but I kind of think about that moment when you're laying in bed and you're like, I need to go to sleep and I just can't. So this is going to be kind of an overview of things you can do to help make your sleep a little bit better, plus some like resources and places you can go that online that can help you go to sleep as well. So first, we're going to start off with some breathing, okay? And it's the kind of breathing that you can do to make yourself go to sleep. I'm not doing this on purpose. It literally, like, I have a yawning fit going on. Okay, now just bear with me. I'm going to yawn some more and it's going to be fine. I'm not sleepy. It's just like I get hung up, right? So we're going to start off with some breathing. I want you to go ahead and drop your shoulders away from your ears. Nice strong back, but a soft front. The kind of breathing that we're going to do is where we're going to count our breaths. We're going to start making them a little bit longer and a little bit longer, okay? So we're going to start off with just like breathe in for 4, breathe out for 4, and then just pay attention to the numbers because I'm going to start manipulating them a little bit, all right? The goal is to start slowing down our exhales to calm ourselves down. I told you, it happens. All right, you ready? Here we go. Let's breathe in. Oh, hold on. Go ahead and let all your air out. Breathe normally. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. We're going to start to mimic that sleep breathe, okay? Here we go. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, out for 4, 2, 3, 4, in for 4, 2, 3, 4, out for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, in for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, out for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, in for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, out for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, out for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, in for 6, 2, 3, big breath, 4, 5, 6, out for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Big breath, in for 4, 2, 3, 4, out for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more of those. In for 4, 2, 3, 4, out for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whew, go ahead and breathe normally on your own. I kind of worked us up to it because it was, just starting off breathing like that much air. You can run out of air really quickly and it'll make yourself like, there's another version of that, which is 7-11 breathing. I think that breathing in for 7 and breathing out for 11. I mean, I don't know about you, maybe you've got some really amazing lungs, but that's kind of a lot. So I worked us up to in for 4 and out for 7. So that's the first tip that you can do when you're laying in the bed is do some breathing, count and breathe. What you're doing is basically boring your brain to death and you're slowing down your body processes by making your exhales nice and long. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is a progressive muscle relaxation. I've done this one for the anxiety one too. And the same thing works for sleep because you have a lot of built up tension, a lot of energy, and you need to let it out. And you can't just get up in the middle of the night and go run around the block, right? Probably shouldn't do that anyway. But here's what you can do in the bed. You would be laying down while you're doing this. We're going to do it sitting up. So we're going to start with our feet and we're going to work out different muscle groups by tensing them up and then releasing them. If you've done this with me before, you should know how this goes and it will still help, especially if you're on the opposite side and you're like, I'm so hyper. This is going to help with that too, right? So, and you might see that later when we do our mindfulness for too much energy. So coming at you soon. But start with your feet. I want you to go ahead and just scrunch your feet up as hard as you can without hurting yourself. And tense, 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 tense. and then release. Beautiful. Next, we're going to tense up our legs. So go ahead and tense your legs, thighs, calves, hold, and release. Beautiful. All right, here we go. We're going to tense up our booty muscles. No, it seems weird, but it matters. We're going to tense them up and release. Beautiful. Now you're going to tense up your core, your abs, okay? Go ahead and tense them up like you're doing a crunch. Hold it and release. Beautiful. We're now going to move to the arm. So I want you to go ahead and tense up your bicep and your forearm, okay? So go ahead and tense them up. If you need to make a fist, that's okay. We're going to get to fists next, but go ahead and just like flex. Show off those muscles and release. Beautiful. Here's probably the best one. We're going to tense up our hands. Don't hurt yourself, but we're going to tense them up really nice. Go ahead and clench the fist. And release. It's not going to work if you don't do it right. So now we're going to bring those shoulders way up, tense up the shoulders, and release. Beautiful. Now, here's a silly one. You're going to tense up your face, like scrunch all the muscles up. No one can see you, so you're fine. Here we go. Tensing up all the face muscles. And release. Now, the final thing, we're going to tense up all the muscles in our body all at once, okay? So go ahead and tense them up, every muscle. Arms, legs, thighs, feet, hands, face, and release. That's progressive muscle relaxation. That is a great one because it takes your excess energy. If you're laying in the bed and you're like, I really just can't go to sleep, you're giving that energy a place to go. So you're engaging the muscles and releasing them. So it's called progressive muscle relaxation. Progressive because you're moving from one muscle group to the next. So you're progressing through the body. Muscles because it involves your muscles, and relaxation because it actually relaxes your muscles. So if you're tense, it's going to make you go to sleep. That's awesome. So let me tell you the next one I'm going to do. I'm actually going to write this one down. This one is just a little trick. I actually learned this trick like yesterday because I was researching it. So we're going to take the word blanket, okay? Here's the word blanket, right? So what you do, pick any word. It doesn't have to be the word blanket, but for our example's sake, let's do blanket. And if you can't think of anything, you can do blanket when you try to go to sleep tonight. Start with the first letter, B. You're going to name all the things you can think of that start with the letter B. Just any object that comes to your head. Box, balloon, bear, ball, boxing. I just said box earlier. Like you kind of, name all the objects that you can. And once you've run out of things you can name with B, you move to L. So we've run out of stuff for B. Let's go to L. L, you might say llama, liquid, lamp. Put some others in there. Help me out. You got any more L words for me? Loon, lease, leaf, lost, lonely. Like you just list as many as you can. What's funny about this trick is if you do this, you're probably not going to make it to the end because you're going to fall asleep. Okay. It's just the way of it. And then you would go, once you ran out of L's, what would you do next? You would go to the A's. So you'd be like apple. And I think it should be objects. I don't think you should do like amazing. Do like actual items, like stuff you could put in your, car and take with you. Like an apple or an alligator. Maybe don't take that in the car. Astronaut, that kind of thing. You keep going. It gives your brain something to do because you've got a lot of energy and you're trying to like use it up. So it's just not that physical energy. That's what the muscle relaxation is for, but it's also your mental energy. For some of us, our brain's going 100 miles an hour in the middle of the night. If I'm the only one, I don't think I'm the only one, but our brain is going 100 miles an hour in the middle of the night. So we got to give it a job, okay? It's that monkey brain that likes to chatter in the back of our mind and always is talking and always is thinking and blah, 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 blah. In yoga, they call it the chitta vritti, which is a Sanskrit word for just like your mind running its mouth all the time, right? So we're giving our monkey brain a job when we do this. We're giving our chitta vritti a job, which is where we say, look at this word. You could even use your name. You don't even have to use the word blanket. Ellen, E, elephant, whatever, eagle. Like there's not a lot of things that start with E, okay? Cut me some slack. But you know what I mean? So this is how this is the blanket strategy. All right. The next thing, before we get into places you could go and resources for you for when you go to sleep, the biggest factor of what disrupts our sleep is, I want you to guess. What do you think is the thing that probably disrupts your sleep more than anything? Tell me. Put it in the chat. I'll wait. Oh my gosh. I'm going to see if somebody else says something else. I'm just curious. Sam had it right on the money. It's our phones. So the thing about our brain, and I say this every time, but it's so true. Your brain, you ever have your phone update overnight and you're like, oh, I need a new operating system, or my operating system's running so slow, or blah, blah, blah. Basically, it's the system that makes your phone work and all the like programs and rules it follows. Our brain has an operating system. And our operating system, the last time it updated was about 15,000 years ago. That's like when we were cavemen. Okay. So if you were to go back in time, 15,000 years, sit down, learn the language of a caveman, you could have a conversation with them. They are just as smart as us. They're just as capable as us. They don't have all the tools that we have. They don't have all the technology we have, but we're exactly the same. We're exactly the same species as we were 15,000 years ago. Now, lucky for you, you were born in the time that you were born. You don't have to, be a nomad wandering in the desert, but we have the same operating system as these cavemen. But that also means that we're running on the same rules that these cavemen were running on. So these cavemen, let's say they were nomads, wandering in the mountains or in the desert, doesn't matter. When the sun went down, they went to sleep. And the reason for that is because our brains are attuned to light. Now, I'm blessing you with some knowledge today, people, okay? So follow me on this. Don't let me lose you. We respond to light. That's the thing that kind of gives us our sense of sleeping and waking, is this light that we're around. Now, for thousands of years, when the sun went down, our brain started to release melatonin. That's the chemical in your brain that puts you to sleep right about the time it got dark. And then soon after, we would naturally fall asleep. Well, then fast forward a long time to almost now, go back about 100 years when electricity came along. Well, now we have light all the time. And so when the sun goes down, no problem, I can flip a switch and the light will come on. But that messes with our brains, because if we're around light all the time, our brain's not going to properly release melatonin and not going to properly put us to sleep. Let me tell you what else messes with it. So that was the Industrial Revolution, when the electricity came on the scene. Go forward about 100 years to really just a few years ago, and we had this stuff. Now, not only do we have electricity, but you can turn the electricity off, you could turn the light off, and you still have something pumping light in your eyeballs. And so it's going to mess with your chemical release of melatonin in your brain, especially if, and I'll say this, bottom line is, you really shouldn't be looking at a screen when you're in the bed. Now, I am bad about that. And so I know that me saying you shouldn't do that, you're going to be like, okay, lady, but that's going to happen. So too bad. Let me tell you one trick though. If you haven't already, put the blue light filter on, or like night mode on, because it's the blue light from the phone that keeps us awake. It mimics sunlight. And so when we're looking at blue light all the time, it's going to make us feel like we need to stay awake. So at least do me a favor and put the blue light filter on, so that you're not pumping what looks like sun to your brain into your eyes all the time, because it's going to keep you awake. Also, because what we're seeing on the phone keeps us excited. We have a reward system in our brain response to the phone. Whenever you get a like or a comment or a text, you get a little dopamine release, which is almost like a little hit. Our brains operate the same way, not to the same degree, but the same way as someone who gets like a little bit of a hit who's addicted to a drug. That's how our brains operate with the phone. So when we are seeing interesting things on our social media, when we're interacting with our friends and they're talking to us, we're getting that very exciting hit over and over into our brain, which feels really good when you get, a notification, but it doesn't last forever. It's not a long-term thing, and it keeps your brain awake and active and excited, and it's not good for sleep. So the other thing I suggest you do is put on Do Not Disturb if you have that function on your phone. Mine is on from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. every single day. This doesn't mean I can't receive messages. It just means they're not going to notify me so that when I go to sleep, I'm not going to get woken up. Exceptions are there are certain people who the notification will come through no matter what. It's like in my emergency contacts. And if somebody calls me twice within 15 minutes, the same person, I'll also get a notification just in case it's an emergency and I need to talk to them. But for the most part, my phone's not waking me up. It's not vibrating. It's not making a noise while I'm asleep from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. I'm not all the time asleep through those hours, but that's like my downtime, rest time. I don't need my phone blowing up all night long. Because I have friends and some of them just had babies, so they don't sleep at night. And so they'll send me memes or whatever. I also have friends who have issues going to sleep and they get really stressed and they'll talk to me and be like, and they're not expecting me to respond. They'll be like, I'm having a tough night tonight. I'll see that in the morning when I wake up. But if I had my phone notifications on, I would get that at 3 in the morning, and that's okay. But I'm going to be the type of friend that's going to try to talk to you right then. So it doesn't mean I'm leaving my friend hanging. My friend that I'm talking about, we have an understanding that she doesn't expect me to text back until the morning, but keeping the phone on do not disturb is so helpful for that. So with the phone, the best thing is to just plug it in somewhere else and put it away. The next best thing is to put the blue light filter on. The next best thing is to put the do not disturb on. So you're not waking up all night long. Y'all, I went on a retreat one time when I was in college with a girl and we had to stay. It was at a Girl Scout camp, which is fine. I was not a Girl Scout. It was just we rented out the camp for our retreat for my sorority. And I was sleeping in the top bunk and this girl next to me was in the next top bunk. Her phone went off all night. And I'm already not sleeping good because I'm not in my bed. I'm in this like metal top bunk, like afraid I'm going to roll off of it and like die, but like whatever. And every 20 minutes, bzz, bzz, and she would get up and like answer it and the lights all shine it. And I'm like, turn the phone off. What are you doing? So you ever have people like that? We're just like, oh my God, stop. I'm trying to sleep. We need sleep. I say this all the time, but did you know that on the cross of the lifespan of a human, the time when we need the most sleep is when we're an infant, when we're a newborn. The next most time is when you're a teenager. You need sleep because you're growing and you're changing and you're doing all this cool stuff in your brain. But when you have a lack of sleep, it's going to really catch up to you. I remember being in high school, and so I'm preaching to the choir here. I barely slept. I would stay up talking to my friends until like 1 a.m, go to sleep, and wake up at like 6 or 6:30. And I did that like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Most of the time, Fridays I would go to people's houses and stay up even later because we would love to spend the night and like have a fun time. And Saturday I would catch up because I had a bunch of sleep debt I had to catch up on. So I had sleep late on Saturday. Which is fine. And then I would come and do all over again Monday to Wednesday, which is okay. Except for like every 3 weeks, I would get sick. Like I would get some kind of cold. And it's because my immune system was taking a hit because you need sleep. Your body has to have sleep in order for your immune system to function properly. Or if your body's like, whoa, I'm not running on enough stuff. I don't have enough fuel. What's the first thing I'm going to give up because I don't have enough fuel to run? I'm going to give up my immune system, at least not let it function so well. And so then that's what happens is we start to get more susceptible to getting ill, and that's not good. So that's why it's so important to sleep. All right, here go, because we're going to wrap up here in just a second. Here go what you can do if you're having issues going to sleep. Number 1. Don't be looking at no social media. Let's say, Ellen, I am going to look at my phone. There's nothing you can do. You cannot, you're going to pry it from my cold, dead hands. Okay, fine. Keep your phone then. Use it actually to help you with sleep. Go to the Calm app and they have sleep stories. I don't know that I've ever made it through a sleep story. I love the sleep stories on the Calm app. And if you'll look in our Discord, we have the information for you to use the full version of Calm. So you don't have to just use the free ones. You can have access to all of the sleep stories. They are fantastic. They have something for everyone. They have something for little kids, but they also have stuff for adults. And some of them are like stories. I'll be honest with you. The story ones keep me too entertained because I got to know what happens in the story. So I listen to the nonfiction ones where they're like going to describe, jazz in New Orleans. And they're like, oh, and this is the history of jazz in New Orleans. I'm like, I love jazz, but like, what a snooze fest. Am I right? There's another one that I love where it's like, they're just doing like weather for boats in England. And it's like, And going down this canal, it's going to be 15 knots to the left and the westerly wind coming from the south. And I'm like, good night. I am done. Like, I'm already asleep. That's how I feel. But I love it. I love those because I don't have to think about a story or a narrative. I can just go to sleep. So that's my first recommendation is go to the Calm app, do the sleep stories. If you're like, I really enjoy a story, I would like to hear it. They're very peaceful. They're very calming. Even the stories are not like leave you on the edge of your seat. They're very like gentle, calming stories. And it's just nice to have something to listen to and it's peaceful. Um, the other thing is there are a couple of podcasts that you can listen to also. And I have not tried these out. So, you'll have to explore it on your own. So if you don't like it, whatever, I can't really speak to it, but there's two of them I'm going to recommend. The first one is called Sleep With Me podcast, which is where he just like talks about different things for like an hour and it's boring on purpose. Like he's making it to where he wants you to go to sleep during his podcast. That's his whole gig is he'll just like talk about the family tree history of this one show or recap certain things that happened on this. It's like, it's boring on purpose. The other one is Nothing Much Happens. Same kind of thing. She tells a story, but they're pleasant. And it's like about an hour long. And she just talks about really pleasant, peaceful, feel-good stories that will put you to sleep. And these podcasts are made for you to go to sleep. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, I didn't finish it. It's on purpose. They don't want you to finish it. They want you to go to sleep. So those are my suggestions for mindfulness and sleep, is using these mindful apps, mindfully using muscle relaxing to put yourself to sleep. My other suggestion would be if you really feel hyper, you really feel energetic, go back and watch some of our meditations or our yoga that will help you go to sleep as well. So there's plenty of options there. If you really need to move your body before you're going to sleep, I recommend those too. So also, and you can have these little brain games you can play, like the blanket one, and you can just think through things that you can do. Blanket. And that's about it. So do you guys have questions or thoughts? Oh, deep breathing also, of course, because then we're going to start the process of calming our bodies down. Do you guys have other questions, comments, concerns? I have read a lot about this, so I'm okay to answer questions for you. Fun fact, while I wait for your questions or comments in the chat, the average teenager would do a lot better waking up between like 8 and 8:30. So sorry, and you know this already, but you go to school way too early, and a more like conducive, developmentally appropriate time to wake up would be like 8 to 8:30, and like school would start to like 9 or 9:30. So it's like the first hour of your day, you're like not even online. Like your brain is just not there. So did you know that? I figure you probably had lived that one out and been like, yeah, I can attest to that. I can attest to that because I would have, so in my high school, we had 7 periods a day. We did not have block schedules. So you went to the same 7 classes every single day. But you could also have a 0 period where you would show up at 7:45 and I would have jazz band. And like, I don't remember anything I did in jazz band. I know I played the piano, but like my brain was not awake at all. I like lived and died by coffee. Again, refer back to the fact I wasn't getting enough sleep anyway, but the fact that my parents let me drive to school, oh my God, I could have had a wreck. Please. So what do y'all think about that? Again, hit me up in the chat. I'm curious. So go to sleep at a reasonable time. Go to sleep, keep the phone away from you, or do the right thing with the phone and not scroll on social media, but like use your phone for good. Use it to help you put yourself to sleep. It'll be better for you. You'll feel better if you sleep. You'll feel better. I know you're gonna feel like you're missing out. I know it's gonna feel kind of like to go to bed on time. You don't have to do it every night. Try it one night this week. Go lay down, go to bed 10:30. Just see what happens. See how good you feel the next day. Just set the blue light thing to turn on at sunset. Perfect. Because that's the thing too, is like the blue light filter does adjust like the vividness of the colors. So you can make it to where it's not on all the time, but it's going to help not pump that sunlight thing. I used to struggle sleeping all the time. I made a sleep log and it helped me realize what I was doing that wasn't productive. Okay, also helpful is sleep log. Very interesting. You can also learn if you have like a smartwatch or whatever, they will also show you like what your sleep patterns are. So like right after I had my children, I would look at my watch and I'd be like, oh, I did not sleep last night. So it'll be helpful, like to see what's going on.